Good evening. We are back again for this Marching Around the SHUMARD launch. Thank you so much for tuning in and for joining us. We had a great session this morning with BJ Cheek. He is the person that the first book, BJ's Big Dream, was based off. And so Marching Around the SHUMARD is the follow-up, and it is the first of a 3-book series. So this evening, we're going to talk about the Crown Act, which is a big component of the book, Marching Around the SHUMARD. And I would like to, before I get started, very well give a huge shout out to one of my line sisters. Her name is Catrell Cobbs-Hauser, and she is the owner of Balloon Envy. And so she just surprised me when I got home a few minutes ago. I saw a huge balloon bouquet, and it is a SHUMARD tree. So you can't really see it so well here, but I am going to be posting lots of pictures of my SHUMARD tree that she has made for me. It is absolutely beautiful. I wish all of our viewers could see it live and in person, but I will do my best to post the best pictures that I possibly can. So shout out to Balloon Envy. Her website is balloonenvy.biz, and she is here in the upstate of South Carolina. So before we get much farther, I want you to know who this pretty young lady is that we have with us. She is attorney Larita Yusef. She is the daughter of one of my very good friends, Dr. Rosa Dingle, who is a retired educator here in the state of South Carolina. She is a successful author. Her first book is Montgomery Took the Case. Amazing. If your children are somewhat interested in politics, the government, get those babies reading. This is a super cute story. And then I didn't realize that she has a second baby out there, Aki Bum Bum. And it is super cute too, especially for those who really love music and singing. So be sure to check these out. I believe they're both on Amazon.
They are.
Okay, great.
That's correct.
Yes, so please support her. I can't thank her enough for being here today. It just means a lot to see you because I know you have a very, very busy schedule. I'm trying to figure out where I'm getting a little feedback, but it just stopped for some reason. So that's great. I like when problems take care of themselves. So I don't want to keep you long. Like I said, I know you have a very busy schedule. So I'm just going to jump right in. Well, first of all, I'd like for you to, whatever you'd like to say that I haven't acknowledged. I know that you are a wife, you are a mother, and anything else you'd like to share with our audience, please do so.
I think you've pretty much covered it. I am an attorney by profession and definitely a wife and a mother. And you just introduced the audience to my 2 books, and that's about it.
Awesome. Well, tell me just a little bit about Aki Bum Bum. I hear that it's doing extremely well, especially internationally.
Yes, it is. Aki Bum Bum is the story of a grandmother and a granddaughter who connect through music. And this story is actually inspired by my daughter and my mother-in-law, who lives in another country. And so this story really does speak to the connection with immigrant grandparents and their children, or just grandparents and their grandchildren, and music and through playing and just enjoying each other.
Wow. I could just really visualize the song, the dance, everything, all of the interaction, but I would love to see it in person. So just maybe I may have that opportunity one day. So
absolutely.
You keep writing. You have a lot in you and a lot to share. So, all right. Well, if you will, we'll ask you to tell us exactly what the Crown Act is and why is it needed today.
Absolutely. So let's just start with the acronym CROWN. It stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. And the Crown Act actually ensures protection against discrimination that's based on hairstyle, race-based hairstyles and hair texture. It does this by instituting definitions of race that makes the coverage of these protections more comprehensive. So right now, we already have laws, federal and state laws, that make racial discrimination illegal. However, the laws, the wording and the language of those laws doesn't necessarily specify what race is, or doesn't mention whether hair is considered a racial characteristic. So that leaves this open for interpretation. So if someone is discriminated against and they want to challenge the policy that they believed was discriminatory and applied against them, and they file a lawsuit and take that case to court to challenge that policy, the court is going to interpret the statute and decide, as applied to these individuals, is this discrimination? And so right now, because the court is interpreting the statute, it leaves it open. We're really without protection, and that's why it's needed. So if the courts are unsure, or if the standard that's being used is not favorable to the people who need to be protected, mostly African Americans or people who adorn their natural hair, then the legislature has to step in and clarify what they really mean, or the Supreme Court has to accept a case and clarify the meaning. And in this case, the Supreme Court has not accepted a chance to actually clarify this. And therefore, we need Congress to step in and clarify what do we mean by race.
Wow, that's interesting, because I didn't know that. And I've been, of course, very busy trying to finish the book and to get it out. And so the last I read, I guess I was misled to think that, well, it was making some progress because it has gotten to other states. I know it started in California, and I kept trying to see what is happening in my state. I was trying to read and find out what's happening in South Carolina. But I know earlier when we interviewed this morning about the book, I basically just mentioned a little bit about the Crown Act, and my exact words were, which I will continue to repeat, it's something that seems very unnecessary. It seems that it makes no sense that we would have to have a law that your hair, the way God made you, is not acceptable. We have to have something to make people acceptable in the workplace. But because of what we've seen and what we know, that makes it necessary.
Absolutely.
And what I was reading too talked about how so many people just feel like, oh, this is so frivolous. We have issues to deal with. We don't have time for this. They just laugh and think that it's very petty.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I've seen that in some commentary online. People saying, oh, focus on real issues. This is not a problem. But to be honest with you, some of the people making those assertions, they don't have the texture of hair. They don't wear these types of hairstyles. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they are the best people to speak about whether this is an issue or not.
That's very interesting. And you'll find people with fixed opinions in all different races. Because I know I've worked in places where African Americans were told by African Americans, do not ever come in here with an afro. That is not accepted, and we will not do that. And my eyebrows just raised because I said, really? So, and it's interesting that I never met personally a real challenge when I began wearing my hair naturally. I didn't have the locks when I was in the workplace, but I did have it natural. And I do remember being asked at one point by a supervisor, what are you doing with your hair? And it wasn't ever, you can't wear your hair like that, or you shouldn't wear your hair like that. It was just basically, I noticed that there's a change. And so then I was kind of caught off guard, because how do I explain? And why am I explaining? And what is the implication behind that? It's like, whatever it is that you want to say, it would be better if you said it, but maybe you're afraid that it's not kosher for you to say that legally and then professionally as well.
Right.
So in your experiences?
Well, personally, I actually had a similar experience. Around my first year practicing law, I had a protective style, and I worked at a firm. I was actually the only one of two females and the only African American. And when I changed that protective style, the partner came in and asked me what happened. He said, "What happened?" And like you, I was taken off guard as well. And I felt very uncomfortable because what happened was, well, my natural hair was exposed, and so I was just existing as I was. I'm still neat, but
Uh-huh.
but natural.
Uh-huh.
And so I felt pretty uncomfortable at that point. And I've heard stories from other people too, who've had similar experiences.
I have as well. I have a very dear friend who was asked one day, "Do you need a comb?" And then I also have, I know other reactions that I've received. I've heard people say things to me like, "Oh," when I would flat iron my hair, "Oh, wow, your hair looks so beautiful today," to make sure that I knew that there was a difference in their preference over my straightening it versus my wearing it naturally. And then
Yeah.
a colleague one day say to me, "Oh, I love curly hair, not curly hair,
Oh,
just
wow.
like really curly hair." So that was very interesting as well.
One situation or one account that really stuck with me, I learned when I was in law school of someone who was denied employment because they wore cornrows to the interview. Denied employment as an attorney. And the reasoning given by the employer was that it didn't fit with their culture, the culture of the workplace. And they didn't think that their clients would relate to someone with braids. And so that's how this plays out. And that's why this is needed. Because it's
Wow.
not always on its face.
Exactly.
It happens like this.
That's very interesting. So, does that story have an outcome now, or was it just left there?
I'm not sure of the outcome in that particular situation. I was actually seeking advice on how I should present myself in interviews. I was under the impression that I needed to silk press and blow my hair out as well. And so someone who was also African American and worked in this space told me about that story. So I'm not sure
Very,
how it played out.
very interesting. And I know that there are many, and I'm sure there were interviews that I went on too, where it's like you really want to fit into the culture because we need to work, we need jobs. We have, gone to school to get our credentials, and we don't want the interview and what some may feel offensive to segregate us or separate us or to deny us the opportunities that we've actually earned. And it's very disturbing that we have to mutilate our hair if we don't want to. If anyone is happy wearing their hair straight, I mean, that's fine, because
Right.
for the majority of my life, I either had a perm or I used a flat iron.
Right.
But now, for the last years, I have not, and I don't want that amount of heat in my hair. That's my personal preference. And
Right.
so that's my privilege. That's my right. That's my God-given ability to just wear my hair as He made it without trying to assimilate or to accommodate or fit in somewhere.
You're absolutely right. And we're honestly probably one of the only groups of people that have to do that or that feel the pressure to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's not fair at all.
Exactly. That was a question that came to me. Have you ever seen a hairstyle by any other race that was not acceptable in the workplace?
I have not personally seen that. I
Okay.
haven't heard any comments about any other hairstyles or textures.
Mhm. And even rarely have I ever seen that a male with a ponytail is inappropriate, because I know I've taught alongside males with very long ponytails.
Mhm.
Um, and I see them, quite often. And I know of a family member who helped a football team, and the black males were told, if you have if you have long hair, you really need to cut it because you're basically an embarrassment to our team. Now, it wasn't made, to everyone. It was just kind of, in here and there. And that's one of the things that I did in the book, that the teacher who somewhat picked on Briston, the character in the book, didn't say it in front of the class, but after class he called him up and said, well, when was your last haircut? And then he just left him hanging. He didn't say anything else about it, like what he thinks about it, or no other comment, just left him hanging. But basically the implication was, well, whenever it was too long ago. You should have something between now and then. But I asked the family member, I said, well, were there other males of other races who had these long hair or ponytails? And he said, yes, there were, but nothing was ever said to them. Their hair was okay. So then it truly becomes an issue of texture, because how else, there are not many ways that Black males can wear their hair very long if they don't have locks. You just don't find that, as common.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. So that's very interesting. Anything else on the Crown Act? Because I think, like I said, you gave so much information at the beginning that I'm not even aware of, that I didn't realize that it's like it's stuck in a way. But what are your thoughts about, what do you expect to see in the near future regarding it?
Yeah, well, right now, so it's been adopted by about 9 states so far. And then last year, it was introduced in about maybe 29 more states, give or take. And also introduced at the federal level too. So it passed the House last year. And so now it's being reviewed by the Senate. And honestly, with everything going on, with the attention that's been brought to Black Lives Matter and just the social justice movement that has happened recently, I feel fairly hopeful about it. I feel pretty hopeful about it. We have our first woman vice president, and she's a person of color. And so I think, based on the makeup of the Senate, I feel hopeful about it. But but people still have to get out and let their lawmakers know that they want this protection and this change.
Exactly. Are you up to date on the military? Because I know at one point that was an issue. And my thing is, if I'm marching and if I have on a helmet and I don't have much time at all to tend to my hair, what can I do other than a protective style? And so that posed a huge issue for our females in the military, serving in the military, because what do you do other than just cut it all off? And I thought there were some changes regarding that over the last years, but I'm really not up on that.
Yeah, there were changes. I think they've pretty much dismantled those prohibitions on those styles. So the military is progressing. I think that's part of what makes me hopeful about the adoption of the Crown Act federally.
That's great. That is great. Awesome. And so apparently, hopefully this will, trickle down in schools, because we still see isolated cases. Well, not isolated cases. I don't want to say that, but dress codes that discriminate. The bigger case out in Texas, many of the young people who have read my book say, oh, that reminds me so much of the young man who couldn't wrestle because he had the locks, or he couldn't march at graduation. Now, he had gone to school all of those years, met the credentials, but he couldn't go across the stage because even with his hair pinned up, he was violating some code where you can't have long hair to graduate. That completely blows your mind. But even an author who read my book and gave me feedback said that her grandson had just changed middle school because the school he was attending did not allow him to wear locks.
That's crazy, but you're right. I mean, this legislation would also affect education policies too. So that's definitely the good thing about it, especially with public schools. Typically they receive federal funding in some way or another. So it would. And that's so true. It's awful to be denied access to opportunities and experiences based on hair. It's really sad, especially now in this day and age, to have that still happen, but it is happening.
Yes, very much so. What are there any other forms of discrimination that you like to talk about that you've most recently seen, or anything else that we need to be aware of? Or other than, like you said, we can contact legislators, we can, let people know how we feel. We can't just be silent on the issue, but any other advice to our audience that any information you want to share, and then any information or feedback that you'd like to give as far as advice on how we can move forward.
As far as how we can move forward, so the Crown Coalition has a website on the Crown Act, and there's a lot of information there. They have an Instagram page where you can follow and stay updated about what's going on. You can sign a petition that will be sent to your own lawmakers in your own state. And so I think by just staying abreast, making people aware, like how you're doing through literature, and then showing up in spaces authentically, so that people are exposed to who we are, and get a chance to see that, yes, a hair is a part of our race. There's so much about our hair that's related to our race, but it has nothing to do with our qualifications to do work or to excel.
Exactly. So again, you have given us some great information, and I've had actually forgotten to mention the website. And I know that Doug is a co-sponsor and very much a part of the Crown Act. I have not been following on Instagram, so I will make sure I do that right after this interview. I have typed that in the chat here on Facebook, so that anybody watching today or who watches in the future can do that well. And I have, though, completed that petition. So I encourage anyone who's listening to us to be sure to do that, so that our voices are heard. That's the whole purpose of the book, Marching Around the SHUMARD. The young man in the book is discriminated against because he does have locks. And even though he has totally defeated every opponent in his age range in karate in the entire state, he's almost denied the opportunity to actually participate. And I don't think, unfortunately, he's alone. We've seen other models of this in other athletics, it could be cheerleading, it could be swimming, it could be a lot of different things. And so we have to make our voices heard. And one of the purposes of the book is to empower young people to let their voices be heard in a very positive way. We want them to be proactive, and we don't want them to, result to violence or anything that's going to get them in trouble. So there are ways around it. So I encourage you, if you have not already gone to Amazon to pick up a copy, it is available in Kindle, it's available in paperback, and we appreciate your support. I also posted today that if you don't have an Amazon account, if you're not interested, one thing you can do, my Cash App is available on my Facebook page, and we have had a number of donors to actually contribute books to students who may not be able to get the book. I have lists. I also have a number of people who have students that they know could benefit from this book, because it teaches them tenacity, it teaches them to speak up, and it also helps them with their self-esteem. It's like, you are okay the way you are. You don't have to change or conform for anybody. And this young man, there's a girl who smiles at him, and they're very young, so they're just kind of like smiling at each other and that type of thing, maybe just a little bit of flirting. But he has to make a decision because she doesn't like his hair. And so am I going to give in and lose my hair so that I can have a new friend? Or am I going to be me and accept the friends who come into my life and appreciate who I am? And those are just some of the issues that, we as people have to deal with. And it may not just be hair, it could be, complexion, it could be the way you dress, where you live, the types of food you eat. There are so many ways to be discriminated against, but we want to empower our youth to feel good about who they are. So as I prepare to to close us out, I'd like for you to, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but can you think of a question that we can ask of our audience so that I can give away this Starbucks gift card? Someone who's watching, and it's going to be the first person who posts it in the chat. They may be watching now, or they may watch it later, but I'll just go back and see. And I do want to announce that earlier today, we had a winner of our BJ's Big Dream gift set. It was a book, a wristband, a set of crayons, a journal, and some coloring sheets. And that was Keisha Wilson. So congratulations to you. And I may announce our Starbucks gift card winner during our 7 o'clock student panel that will be starting in probably about 34 minutes or so. But what should we ask?
You can ask, what does the Crown Act stand for? What does the acronym stand for?
Awesome. Type that in our chat, if you will, and you will be the winner of this Starbucks gift card. So I cannot again thank you enough. I appreciate your reading the book, giving me feedback. And so we bounce things off of each other as authors, and it's just a great relationship. I really appreciate you. Thank you for this time this evening. And any closing words that you would like to give before we sign off?
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this. I love the book. The book is absolutely amazing. It has a wonderful lesson, amazing characters. So I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy to be a part of this launch.
Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate your time, and you know I will certainly be in touch with you, but I just think your intelligence is amazing, and that you're willing to share it with me on this evening means more than you will ever know. So thank you so much to everyone who is here. I see several of you watching, and I'm just grateful. Those of you who have tuned in now, those of you who will tune in later, thank you for your support. Again, I will be posting pictures of my awesome SHUMARD tree that was dropped off by Balloon Envy just a little while ago, and I will certainly put their contact information in the link as well. So thank you again, Attorney Yusef. You have a beautiful evening, and you just continue to do extremely well.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You do. Bye-bye.
Bye.